Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer on the ROFA curriculum. That's the Reach Out Foundation Academy. But listen, we aren't going to be talking about abstract, dusty theories today. We're getting right into how everyday mindfulness and proactive respect act as literal, practical survival tools in the real world.
Now, the main idea anchoring everything we're looking at today comes straight from the source material, and it is a powerful one. It says, you are always one deliberate decision away from changing the course of your life. Think about that. It's a massive mindset shift. It basically means you have the absolute power to stop being just a passive victim of your circumstances and actually grab the pen to author your own future.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll cover the power of perspective, rethinking respect and reactivity, pro-social survival skills, navigating your explosive emotions, preparation and habits, and finally, true leadership and growth. Let's get right into it.
Kicking things off with part 1, the power of perspective, and specifically moving way beyond just right and wrong.
It's so cool to look at these authentic whiteboard notes from ROFA facilitator Valerie because it literally grounds us right in the classroom where this stuff goes down. If you look closely at the top left, she wrote right, wrong, neither. And that's such a brilliant reminder, isn't it? It shows us that getting some open perspective absolutely has to come before we lock ourselves into rigid certainty.
To really bring this concept to life, Valerie shares this amazing little anecdote. She was taking some 6- and 9-year-olds out to get Slurpees. Now, it's so easy for us adults to brush kids off, right? Just falling into that stay in a child's place mentality, figuring they don't have much to teach us. But instead of doing that, she chose to just listen. And because she did, these little kids ended up teaching her all about the hundreds of different taste buds we have in our mouths.
That Slurpee run, that is the absolute perfect definition of true mindfulness. It's simply the practice of being so fully aware of the present moment, staying open, staying curious, instead of just being dismissive. Because if you aren't actually present, you're going to completely miss out on the profound beauty that unexpected teachers have to offer us. Yes, even young kids sipping on Slurpees.
Moving on to part 2, rethinking respect and reactivity and how we can shift our locus of control.
The source material uses this gorgeous metaphor to point out how wild it is that we try to force conformity on people. Think about it. You would never look at a stunning monarch butterfly and tell it, hey, you need to be a little white butterfly. That's crazy. But in our everyday lives, we do exactly that. We constantly try to jam other human beings into our own specific molds. Real respect is about accepting diversity, not trying to homogenize everyone.
And Valerie drops this incredibly powerful reframe here. She says, nobody can actually disrespect you unless you allow their words to change how you feel. Wow, that completely flips our locus of control, right? It's a wake-up call that respect is a gift we offer first the second we walk into a room. More importantly, it reminds us that we, and nobody else, have absolute agency over our own internal emotional reactions.
That brings us to section 3, pro-social survival skills, and how we actually go about building healthy relationships.
So the curriculum gives us this beautifully simple, step-by-step protocol for active listening. Look at the person. Think about what is said. Wait your turn to talk. Say what you mean. It sounds basic, but just putting down your phone and genuinely looking someone in the eye, that proves they actually matter to you. It's how we swap out those nasty antisocial habits for deliberate, healthy connections.
And we need to draw a really sharp line between these two ideas. Forgiving, that's entirely for you. Apologizing, that is for the other person and yourself. Look, forgiving is what frees you from hauling around that heavy, toxic burden of anger. But a genuine apology, one without any buts or excuses attached, that's taking real responsibility. It actively repairs the relationship for both of you.
Let's dive into part 4, navigating your explosive emotions and depathologizing the human experience. You know that feeling when your heart suddenly starts racing or your stomach just completely drops? The curriculum suggests hitting pause right then and there to ask yourself one simple question. What are you actually feeling? It literally forces you to tune into your physical body. And by doing that, you can actually separate a raw, automatic physical reaction from making a deliberate, rational choice. This is huge because we really have to watch out for the trap of self-diagnosis. Now, the facilitators are very clear. Clinical depression, grief, deep sadness, those are very real. But they caution strongly against slapping a self-diagnosed label on yourself and using it as a license to just stop trying. If you label yourself and throw in the towel, all your growth stops dead in its tracks. The real solution? Acknowledge the feeling as a totally normal human reaction, get yourself recentered, and hit the reset button. All right, on to part 5. Preparation prevents life emergencies, where we look at building sustainable habits.
In some authentic notes from the other facilitator, Chris, there's a line that just jumps right out. It says, "Preparation, lack equals emergency." Talk about a hard truth. It perfectly cements the reality that failing to prepare doesn't just cause a hiccup, it literally becomes an emergency the second life inevitably gets tough. You can't just stumble around reacting to everything. You absolutely have to prepare.
To stop those emergencies before they happen, Chris shares this highly specific strategy, the 15% rule. The concept is straightforward. You save exactly 15% of your income for a big goal, let's say a down payment on a car. Then, when you actually pull the trigger and buy the car, you make absolutely sure your monthly payments never, ever exceed that 15% you've already proven you can comfortably live without. It is honestly a foolproof way to stop financial crises before they start.
Finally, we arrive at part 6, true leadership and growth, and how to escape the mistake. There's this visceral, completely unforgettable metaphor used here about the very real danger of overhelping. It's framed as handcuffs for 10 minutes versus a wheelchair forever. Think about that. Sometimes being a true leader means you actually have to put metaphorical handcuffs on yourself. You have to step back, bite your tongue, and let someone struggle so they can earn their own success. Because if you just swoop in and do the work for them, you risk crippling their independence and sticking them in a metaphorical wheelchair for the rest of their life.
So how do we put this into daily practice? Well, it means tithing 10% of your time, which is roughly 2.5 hours a day, and dedicating it purely to a positive passion to build your sense of purpose. It also means ditching the idea of absolute perfection, because striving for flawless perfection is literally just setting yourself up to fail. At the end of the day, true leaders aren't the ones making massive, flashy gestures or carrying the flag for everyone to see. They're the ones who just survive, show up consistently, and do the quiet work.
Since there's no way to change the past, and as we've learned today, you are always just one single deliberate decision away from changing your entire trajectory, I want to leave you with this one thought. What will your next 10 minutes look like? Seriously, what is the single honest choice you're going to make right now to rewrite your own story? Thanks so much for exploring this curriculum with me on today's Explainer. Keep taking those deliberate steps, and I'll catch you next time.